Hello, everyone. This is Emily Burley. I am the director of the Executive Leadership Support Forum, also known as the ELS Forum. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar and thank you for joining us. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the ELS Forum, it is a two-day event that brings together executive assistants supporting the world's most influential leaders. We cultivate professional development by providing a platform for executive assistants to connect, collaborate, and contribute solutions to their greatest challenges. Attendees gain support, training, and inspiration from world-renowned instructors and peers to discover a renewed sense of purpose and passion in their career. I know we have many participants from Europe listening in on today's webinar, and the ELS Forum will be coming to Munich, Germany on April 4th and 5th. If you are interested in attending the forum in Munich or one of our many locations taking place across North America, you can find more information at elsforum.com. Today we are thrilled to partner with Diana Brandl. Diana is the founder of the Socialista Project, and she will be discussing assistance in the digital age, our Alexia, Siri, and colleagues or competitors. You can download a copy of today's slides directly from the webinar toolbar under the Handout tab. There will be an opportunity to get your questions answered once Diana has completed her presentation, so feel free to submit your questions at any time via this questions feature in your webinar toolbar, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. If you're having any technical difficulties, you can send a message through the questions feature. Please message me, Emily, which is Organizer ELS Forum. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Diana Brandl. Throughout her career, Diana has worked successfully for C-level executives within global corporations such as Sony. Diana has a strong background in communications and is an active networker. She joined the professional network IMA, International Management Assistance, in 2006, and is a vocal and well-respected member of IMA Germany, chairing the regional groups of IMA Berlin. She continuously supports the role of management assistants by speaking at international events and publishing various articles in Germany and abroad, focusing on digital transformation, personal branding, strategic networking, mentoring, diversity, and social media. Diana writes her own blog, The Socialista Project, and is influencing the industry with her creative initiatives, such as launching the hashtag We Are In This Together. Now it is my honor to hand it over to Diana to begin today's webinar.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Emily, and good morning or good afternoon to all of you out there. It was always interesting to see where you all joining from. I'm in Berlin, but before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you. Why is she starting with a thank you slide? You might think. I would like to say thank you to ELS and the team behind ELS for inviting me. It's going to be my first webinar in front of an international audience, and I'm very thrilled to be here today. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you all today. And at the same time, you know that I'm a German lady. I'm not a native English speaker. I try my best, but I'm sure there will be some challenges in terms of grammar and some spelling. So please apologies for a few mistakes I might do during the webinar. So as I said, I am located in Berlin, Germany, in our nation's capital, and it's picturing all of you wherever you are at the moment. But we had a beautiful day today here in Berlin, and it is in the afternoon, and we're getting ready for a cozy evening, and I'm very happy to be with you here today. Emily was so kind to introduce me before, so you have my biography, but there's a little picture of myself just to know who I am, and I'm happy to connect with you over social media. You find me on LinkedIn and on Facebook, of course. So here's the digital age. I mean, we know all these buzzwords. I'm sure you know many of them, and they have not been around only a few years ago, maybe even longer. Maybe you think about the millennials in the workforce. A lot of things are happening with the generation mix, especially when it comes to new manager generations. I used to work for bosses who were much younger than me, and I had to rediscover my role as an assistant. They are very digital, they are digital natives, they know what to expect from their assistants, so it was quite interesting for me to understand how these managers work, but we're going to look at this later on. And then, of course, we have the robots. They are stealing our task first, and maybe then they are stealing our whole jobs. Is this really true, or what is happening actually out there? And then, of course, we have the digital assistants, Siri, Cortana, Alexa, and there are many, many more out there. I keep wondering with what kind of assistant you might work with your mobile phone. To be honest, I must say I'm a fan of Siri. I work with Siri all the time, and I will introduce you to a few things I actually do with Siri because she's going to help me making my working day more efficient. And then there's the new work environment. Everything changes. Everything needs to be more agile. We need to be more smarter assistant. But is it actually changing our roles dramatically? So we will have a look at this also together. So when we think about digital transformation, are we afraid of all these things that we hear in the press, that we hear and read in articles? There are many, many things happening throughout the past years. And I wonder, are you afraid of all of that? Are you afraid of these terms, digital transformation? Are you afraid of the digital age itself? Or is it more a feeling like I don't maybe 100% know what's behind all that? So maybe this keeps me frightened. This keeps me a little bit scared about the future because I don't know what it means for my role. I don't know what it means for our whole profession. So is it you? You are the one who's afraid, or is it maybe also the challenge behind that you might need to change in this digital age? Because we all know that a constant change has been seen many, many years in our profession. And now the digital age brings us a new platform, a new podium where we actually can showcase more of our skill set. And of course, we need to become more digital. We need to keep up with the technology. We need to be open for innovation. But is it really you what's holding you back to deep dive into this? Or is it something maybe even more behind it? So let's see what we can all explore together today in the webinar. And I brought you a lot of information, some videos, and I hope you get more inspired by the digital age than to be afraid of it. So the digital assistants and the robots, are they competitors or are they actually partners? Can we work with them together? Why not, actually? And here we are again with Amazon's Alexa, we have Google Assistants, and as I mentioned, we have Siri and Microsoft Cortana. And have you actually thought about they are all female? I must admit, I love Siri, and to be honest, my Siri is a man. So I changed the voice because I always wanted to have a male assistant. And Siri and I have been working very successfully together for many years now. And to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I dictate all my emails. I dictate all my text messages. I dictate all my WhatsApp messages. When I'm in the car, the first thing I do, I connect with Siri. I ask Siri, can you read my emails? And then I dictate my answers. I can make my calls, I can make my researches. There are so many things I can actively use. And I love using this. And I've been always a challenger in terms of introducing all these wonderful skills to my managers. Of course, when I used to work in the startup scene and the tech business, they were very familiar with all these things. And they used to work with digital assistants. And to be honest, I never had the feeling that they don't need me anymore. Because once again, the digital transformation, the digital age, and all these new challenges that come that way, they are positive challenges for us because it gives us more room to showcase our skills and our portfolio and our wonderful profiles. So here's Amazon Alexa. I don't know about where you are located at the moment. Maybe you are in the US, maybe you are in Canada, but in Germany at the moment, it's hard not to see Alexa because Amazon is doing a wonderful marketing campaign all over Germany. It's lots of TV commercials. lots of ads, lots of information around Alexa. So it's kind of like a must. Everyone needs to have an Alexa, and many of you probably have an Alexa at home. They use it for cooking, they use it for researches, they use it for travel bookings, and so many other things, because Alexa makes our lives easier. Isn't it this way? When I talk to people who have Alexa at home, and I have to admit, since I'm a friend of Siri, I don't have Alexa in my home because they get kind of jealous when they come together. So I decided to go for Siri. But every time I talk to people who have an Alexa at home, they say, of course, Diana, it makes my life much easier. I have no cooking books with me. I just ask Alexa what to throw into the preparations for dinner. Every time I went online and I had so many other information for a trip or a holiday coming up, I don't need it anymore. I just ask Alexa, Alexa, where should I go to for my next trip? Any ideas? Any suggestions? And even when you have children, Alexa is a big help. The other day, I heard from a mom, she said, oh, it's so wonderful to have all those bedtime stories on Alexa, and it helps my child also, and also for me to relax and listen to Alexa reading out a bedtime story. But why are we afraid of the digital assistant coming into our workforce? Because they seem to make our lives so easy, right? And hey, AI has been out there for many, many years. I mean, can you imagine 1950, the timeline starts? I'm sure you all remember Eliza coming in 1964. And imagine Siri was implemented only in 2011, and IBM's Watson as well, and now Alexa has been on the market the past 4 years. Incredible. So much innovation going on. And while we are talking here, I don't want to even think about all the innovation and technology and developments that are happening out there in the tech companies. So they are working on innovation, and that's why in our role specifically, we need to have a feeling what's happening there and how can we actually use them or even integrate them into our world. I'm sure you all have seen the wonderful video that went viral after Google announced the AI assistant that's actually calls local businesses to make appointments, so you can do your haircut. And I'm sure there are many of you out there doing this actually for their bosses, because we are assistants. We do personal assistant stuff as well. And there's a haircut appointment maybe, and there's maybe also a doctor's appointment. So did you ever think about why not actually delegating such a job to one of these wonderful digital gadgets out there? I mean, let's be honest. Is this really the duties we love to do in our role? Or why not delegating it? So why not actually welcoming AI in this moment for taking over such a task for us? Because it's off from our desk, and we would be happy to do that, right? So here again, Alexa, she's really the queen. Look at her. She's tall, she is thin, she looks kind of sexy, and everyone says she has a kind of very charming voice. So actually not the one we want in our office environment, right? But again, I always see her as a partner and not as a competitor. See her as another assistant, another colleague, somebody who can actually support you in so many different ways. The skill set of Alexa for business, because there's, of course, the Alexa for home, but there's also the Alexa for business. And this is where our field starts. This is our sector. So, of course, we want to know what's Alexa doing in our field. And, of course, there's dictating emails, there's calendar management, there's all the travel bookings, taxi bookings, flight bookings. I mean, Alexa is connected with everything. So you need to feed her, of course, with all the data and all the accounts, Amazon accounts, so everything is connected. So it is wonderfully easy to make all these bookings. I mean, all the researches like weather reports, stock prices, all these kind of things can be so easily done. And I remember all these years back when I had a manager who always asked me the same question in the morning. He was totally into stock prices. And every morning when he came into the office after the traditional good morning, Diana, he always asked me about stock prices. So I was well prepared, of course. So I sat there, I had my computer in front of me, And I was only waiting for the moment when he would say, okay, today I need to know the stock price of Amazon. Today, maybe tomorrow, I need to know the stock price of a different company. So I got this information the moment he was standing in front of me. So I went online, I got the data, I printed it, I went to the printer, I took the sheet of paper, and maybe there was again no paper in the printer, so it took me a little while. So I got everything there, and then I rushed to his office to give him the information about the stock price. So imagine you just ask Alexa, imagine you just ask Siri, and you get this information within seconds. And one of the reasons why I trained my boss to do this, and I was very happy to see that he was super open-minded for it, because of course he had an Apple phone, of course he had Siri on his phone. So after a while, every morning he came to the office and he said, Diana, guess what? We should buy some stocks, some shares at Amazon or at another company, because Siri told me this morning the stock price is pretty good. So we had a lot of fun together, and I was very proud to see that I kind of made my boss a little more digital. And you can do the same. Why not? I mean, just play with it and get more a feeling for it. Use it more frequently. If you have an Alexa, even better. But Siri is there. All the other digital assistants are there. So why don't you give it a chance and get more used to the wonderful AI behind those digital assistants? And I brought you a video from Alexa for Business, and I hope it's going to work, because it shows even more the wonderful skills she has, and especially the ones we can delegate. So let's see if this works.
You already know how Alexa helps you at home. Alexa keeps you up to date on current events.
Alexa, what's my flash briefing? Here's your flash briefing from the Business Review, management tip of the day.
And on top of your schedule.
Alexa, remind me to pick up the kids at 5 p.m. today.
But what if Alexa could help you work more efficiently and be more productive? Introducing Alexa for Business. Now, Alexa can be your intelligent assistant wherever you go. Alexa can help you work from the comfort of your home.
Alexa, when's my first meeting today? Your first meeting is one-on-one with Morgan at 8 a.m. Alexa, join the meeting. Okay. Hi, it's Angela.
And help you in the office. Alexa can schedule a meeting.
Alexa, schedule a meeting on Thursday with the sales team at 2 p.m.
That's sales meeting on Thursday, October 26th at 2 p.m., right?
Yes.
Okay, I've added that.
And even book a conference room.
Alexa, ask the office who booked this room.
This room is booked by Allison. Room 114 next door is available. Should I book it?
Yes.
Alexa saves time and hassle by starting meetings effortlessly.
Alexa, start the meeting.
Would you like to join the sales meeting?
Yes.
So you can shine during that important presentation.
Alexa, pull up last quarter sales report. Okay, perfect.
Alexa helps you stay organized, so you can focus on what matters.
Time to pick up the kids.
All of this is made possible with Alexa for Business, which gives you the tools to provision and manage thousands of Echo devices around your office, and enable your employees to use Alexa anywhere they work. With Alexa for Business, it's easy to create contextual voice experiences for your employees and for your customers.
Alexa, where's Tyler's desk? In section B3.
The more you look, the more you see. Now, Alexa can be used in an infinite number of ways, like helping your employees solve that pesky printer problem.
Alexa, ask the office for more printer paper.
Okay, I've ordered more paper. Should I send your job to printer 3?
Yes, that'd be great.
The only unanswered question is, what will your business do with Alexa?
Okay, so this was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. So again, there were a few things in this video where you actually saw that we can, okay, sorry, didn't close this properly, so here we are, sorry about that. So there were a lot of things actually in this video where you saw that we can actually delegate these wonderful skills to Alexa. Why not? Because, I mean, do you love booking all the meeting rooms? Do you love to actually make the changes to agendas and actually think about, okay, there's another problem with the printer, there's another thing we need to organize some more stuff for the office, And once again, giving all this information out. I mean, there was Alexa in the middle of a meeting room. There was Alexa in the middle of a open space area. So she actually was able to give this information. So why not using her for that? So there's, again, something which is actually off from our plate. So let's see if I just made the right click. And yeah, so you saw Alexa for Business, and Alexa knows her talents pretty well. So how often do you think about your own talents? And I would like to give you an opportunity to think about your talents. We don't have the time to do that and discuss this now in the webinar, but why don't you just think about your number one talent out there? Why don't you think about the talent you already get wonderful feedback about, where colleagues and your managers always appreciate you about? So write it out or even say it out loud. Be proud of that, and never forget that it's important in the digital age, of course, to focus on technology and see what's out there in terms of innovation. But it's even more important that we know our value and that we know our profile and our portfolio. And this is how it starts, by knowing your talents and by actually working with them and writing them down. And I brought you another video, and this is another step of AI and about robots, because Nadine is actually seen as a future receptionist. And again, receptionist. She could also be an office manager, or maybe in a few years when she's even more developed, she could be an assistant sitting next to us in the office. And I keep wondering what you think when you see the video, so I will play it for you.
Nadine will act as a receptionist here, so she will see people, recognize who it is, say goodbye, say good morning, and have a list of what to do.
How old are you?
I look 30, but I'm only 3 years old.
We give her a document, she will take it, read it because it's a computer, so keep it in the file. She will do it perfectly and maybe better than a standard receptionist.
Can you laugh?
Yes, I can laugh. Ha 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 ha.
Can you cry?
No, I do not have any tear ducts.
Nadine could be also trained in the next future to serve in a restaurant. As soon as she has the hands, she could bring the plates.
Sorry, repeat again. Sorry, repeat again.
How are you feeling today?
I'm satisfied with my life and existence.
Working all the time is possible, but when it comes for subtle decision, unforeseen decision, then it's unique decision, then for years we won't see robots.
So interesting. I keep wondering what you think about this video, because of course it's a different version of somebody who could replace our jobs. But again, remember what the lady said in the end. When it comes to complex decisions, when it comes to unforeseen decisions, then Nadine will not be able to help. And I'm sure you all know these moments when your boss walks in and has so many different things to ask you, and even you will see on his face in the morning if it's going to be a good day or a bad day, because you can read his mood. Alexa and Nadine will never be able to have this emotional intelligence to understand what is actually what can I read from the face of my boss. And so when those digital assistants come into place, they are wonderfully supporters in terms of standard and routine tasks. But the moment when it becomes more complex, it's our part of the game. So that's why we will be always there, and that's why we will be always needed, because all these unforeseen things that are happening every single day in our roles, and I'm sure you had a few of these little emergencies this morning when you had to change the schedule all of a sudden, when you had to just be a supporter in a different project all of a sudden. And these are the moments where the digital assistants at that moment are not able to help. We don't know what the future is going to bring, but once again, emotional intelligence is super important talent and strength for us, and it belongs to our portfolio. But at the same time, we always face all these kind of, not so positive data. I mean, this is like something a study that came from the Oxford University from the UK. And we don't want to see all these kind of positions there. I mean, in that case, it's legal secretary, but we could also think about the general profession of management assistants and the chance of automation. And so we have to focus on it. We need to see what's going on there. We need to read, we need to understand, and we need to talk about it. Why don't you ever think about talking to your manager about the view he or she might have about digital assistants? So especially when you know that your boss maybe has an Alexa at home, or he's a total digital native and super flexible in terms of technology. Why not actually take the opportunity and talk about it, and showing him maybe the videos I showed to you, or just some articles you find maybe, because I think it's important to actually start a dialogue with your manager and ask, okay, so we are in the middle of a digital transformation, and this is my view. How is your view? What do you think about the future of the role of the management assistant? I think there can be very, very good discussions going on. So I would like to invite you to actually start dialogue with the managers and maybe also with HR. And there's a very important slide I would like to share with you. It's from the World Economic Forum, and they are always a great resource. I usually use them in my presentations. And it shows the top 10 skills that are necessary by 2020. And let's face it, 2020 is around the corner. We need to get prepared. And I mean, when we go through all of these wonderful skills, I mean, there are so many things that are already in our assistant DNA, don't you think? I mean, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, there we are. And the good old service orientation. Yes, we are service providers in our roles. So let's be proud of it. And good news is it's still needed out there. So why don't we focus on these wonderful values we have in our DNA already? And the next slide, maybe you have some time to go through the slides after our webinar, because it shows very easily what the fourth industrial revolution means exactly, and all those skills I showed to you a second ago are specifically more explained. So there's a lot of food for us there. There's a lot of stuff we already know, we already basically do every single day and perform every single day. So why don't we just focus on those skills we know we can really show our work and can show our real profile out there. So here are the remaining ones, and I would like to invite you to have a close look after the webinar. So, do you know your elevator pitch? Do you know how to promote yourself in 30 seconds of fame? And how often does this actually happen? And again, in the digital age, when we are confronted with all these information regarding Alexa, regarding robots, it is more important that we know how to really promote ourselves. I don't want to use the word sell, but it's kind of a selling, of course. But promoting, talking about our work, talking about our portfolio is so important in these days. And I would like to share my elevator pitch with you. I'm Diana Bramble, and I'm a socialista because I build bridges between various stakeholders in the office. I work as an office management expert, coach, and trainer. In my seminars and workshops, I help management assistants to become a true sparring partner to their executives. I also work as a freelance interim executive assistant, author, and blogger. And that's my elevator pitch. And I would like to motivate you to work on your own elevator pitch after the webinar, or maybe over the weekend when you have some spare time left in the office, when you actually think about how can I actually introduce myself to others? How can I promote myself to others the moment maybe it is needed? Because we all know what a fast-paced environment we work in, and our bosses might be fired tomorrow. Our company might have major challenges and changes. So all of a sudden, our boss is gone, and we need to really promote ourselves once again. So in that moment, it is super important to know your strengths. And think about actually writing them down in a skill list. So why don't you think about really what is my profile? What is the experience of all of the titles I have, the roles I had? Maybe there was a lot of voluntary work I was very successful in. So why not putting that on a skill list? There have been so many special projects and lots of successes you have achieved all over those years. Have you ever written them down? Have you ever been proud enough of them? Put them in a skillet and make it visible. Trainings and certificates, all these kind of wonderful things you are doing here today. You are joining a webinar. That's something you need to write down, be proud of. Of course, all the language skills, the IT skills, and don't underestimate the personal strength you have. When you are a painter, you're a good dancer or a cook, this also shows how wonderful your profile is in total. And I know
hey, Diana.
Yes?
This is Emily. We're having some feedback.
Okay.
So I just wanted to encourage you to be as far away from your computer microphone as possible, because I think we're getting some double feedback from both your computer and your phone.
Okay.
So
Sorry to hear that, yeah.
Oh, no, you're just fine. I think the further away you are from your computer, the better the sound.
Okay, perfect. I hope it's better now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I know it's not easy to think about your skills, and it is always tough when you actually think about, oh my God, what am I good at? And why don't you include your family and friends and your colleagues and maybe even your bosses or your former bosses where you have a very trustful relationship with, because they will give you very honest feedback. And I know a lot of assistants have a hard time talking about their successes, and they always know what went wrong. So they always have a list about all the things that never went right. So start thinking about all those wonderful things you have achieved. Go through your LinkedIn endorsement. Think about all the testimonials you received, some reference letters. I think it's good to see what your actually USPs are, and then you know how to focus on them. So this will help you to shape your brand and become more visible. And when we talk about visualization, I think also being a smart assistant nowadays also means to come up with new kinds of ways to actually showcase your skills. You can talk about your skills in a talk with your manager, of course, but think about using these kind of methods. I mean, think about using a mind map. It helps you to make it even more in a stronger message to show what is your skill set and what is your profile. Think about actually installing a mind map for your job profile. Maybe a job description could look like a mind map. I've done that myself, and I've always had very good feedback when I was bringing that to my appraisal interviews with my managers and with HR. So this was very, very helpful for me to work on it. And maybe you are even more creative and you say, hey, why not putting that all together in a vision board? And now we are heading down to the end of the year. A lot of you think about your goals for 2019. And maybe that's also a good opportunity to think about putting this all together in a fantastic visual way. And remember, one of the skills were creativity. So maybe there's your skill. Maybe you have that kind of creativity set in your profile already. So why don't you just come up with these wonderful ideas and introduce your skill set to your manager once again and promote yourself. But talking about a brand, I mean, what is a good brand? I don't know. Is this a good brand? Or what about this? Is that a good brand? But more importantly, what is the brand of a management assistant? Because that's us. We need to know what our brand consists of. I'm sure we don't want to be seen as Miss Moneypenny, who is focusing on their James Bond all the time, and I'm sure we all don't like to be seen constantly as the one who is the caretaker of the manager. I'm sure there are so many more ways of our portfolio out there. So why don't you think about those typical attributes of a management assistant? What does it mean to you? And I would like to motivate you to keep thinking of those and write them down after the webinar, and it will help you to define your role as well. And I think this is a kind of very important charge.
Diana, this is Emily again.
Yes.
I just wanted to suggest that you turn off your speakers on your phone, on your computer. I know we were attempting to play the videos, but I think that's what's causing some of the issues.
It's turned off, to be honest. So I don't know why we still hear this double echo. It's really strange because I turned it off after I finished the last video.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Well, we'll continue going. We don't want to delay you any further.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about it because we have been trying that before. I don't know why it's not working now. I'm really sorry.
That's okay. Let's try one more thing real quick, Diana, and take your time. If you go over to the toolbar
Yes.
and you see audio, the
Yes.
audio button, it should be
Yes.
on phone call, not computer audio.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I'll
Is it
try
on
it.
phone call?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Is it better now?
Thank you so much. It is. It's perfect. Thanks, Diana.
Perfect. Thank you for giving me that hint.
And thanks for all of our listeners who have been sending me suggestions. I really appreciate all the help.
Okay, so let's go back to that chart because that's actually a very important one. Because why do we still need to actually introduce our roles to everyone out there? I mean, look at the slide. A lot of people think that 53% think that assistants just deal with tea and coffee, right? But on the other side, 13% believe that we are actually involved in project management. And again, file documents the same, and answering the phone, one of those stereotypes, 70%. But nobody really thinks about the way assistants are involved in budget management, and we actually are involved in that. So once again, we need to start talking and do the right storytelling about our profile. And the digital age, once again, helps us so much to do this. This is why I would like to invite you to get into the dialogue with your managers and share these kind of information and showcase once more what is your job description. Because yes, there is so much more out there, and we are leaders in our role. We are leaders in the field of office management. We are leaders in the field of event management. There's so much more we have on our skill list, and I'm sure you have many wonderful projects where you were actually involved in. But once again, just we need to proudly say what we are doing every single day. So who do you want to be as of tomorrow? Who do you want to be? Who are you at the moment? Do you have any specific superpowers where you think, wow, I'm well prepared there. I'm not afraid of Alexa. I'm not afraid of Siri. But how often have you thought about the way you act at the moment? Because management assistants have been trained to be generalists. We needed to have every single aspect and do all the multitasking in our roles. But now is the time to actually specialize and become an expert and really focus on all those wonderful skills we have in our profile, and remember all the skills I showed you that are important for the future, and they're important to come actually into life by 2020. So focus on them and look where you're good at, and always show why you are such an important player in the part of the management. And I do believe that assistants nowadays are part of the middle management. And it's, again, we need to be good storytellers to talk about it. And there are so many more things that can actually come across our career pathways. I mean, the event manager, of course, project managers. We have feel-good managers. It's a huge trend in Germany at the moment. A lot of assistants get trained to become feel-good managers. Then, of course, we have the virtual assistant and the social media manager. We are involved in so many different projects. And now it's the time to really grab the opportunity and to see, okay, I'm very good at communications. I'm very good at events, and maybe it's time to deep dive more into that field and show my boss that I'm super worth, and I'm happy to do more of these kind of wonderful projects because they will uplift my profile. But now you know your skills, and now you know maybe your talents, and you know what's out there with Alexa, and you know how technology works. But how visible are you? Are you part of the team? Are you visible? And I've been always very surprised when I go into companies and do trainings that a lot of management assistants, they don't even make it to the org chart. I was always shocked to see that. And every time I asked the HR department to actually show me the org chart, and I couldn't believe it that assistants are not listed. So it's all about storytelling. It's all about getting to know where we are, what we can do, and then bring it out loud. I mean, we need to be more vocal. We need to be more bold about our position and actually think about the way we can make it happen. And this could be, like I mentioned before, formats like mind maps and vision boards to actually think about your role in a more deeper way and bring it to the attention of your peers. And then, of course, we are also faced with these, incredible information that is coming out from Elon Musk in that case. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure you have heard of that he had this discussion with his longtime assistant who asked for a raise. And then he said, well, maybe I can do it all myself. Why don't you go on 2 weeks vacation and I'll see if I manage myself. And if I manage myself, I probably don't need you. And then, of course, I don't need to give you a raise. So although she has been working for him for a long time, obviously there was not the right understanding from both sides. Was she valued enough? Did she do the right storytelling? What could she have done better? And I think that's very important when you start tooting your own horn and actually think about the successes you have achieved all over those years and do the internal branding, do the self-PR. Think about the way you could market yourself, but always think about the way when it's the good timing, when it's the right people, of course, when it's the right place, because you don't want to run through your company and say how wonderful you are. I think that's also a way of being authentic. But again, we should think about the way we can actually promote ourselves in a more different way. And of course, we cannot do it all by ourselves. We need strategic partners. We need people who root for us and they say, yes, she just achieved a wonderful goal and she has managed this wonderful event, just fantastic. And she's a great partner and she is part of our leadership team, or he is part of our leadership team. I'm glad to see that there are more male assistants out there. So start writing your own job description and go back to your HR and actually ask for your job description because you want to update it. You want to put all these wonderful achievements in there. You want to tell them once again what you've been doing all those years and what you plan to do for the future. And once again, that's the right moment to talk with your boss and talk with HR and actually show how valuable you are. And it also is important to empower others. So why don't you have a discussion with the other assistants in your company and think about the way you can promote the whole admin community in your company. I think this is also a very important topic you might bring to the table. And then, of course, there's the young generation I've been talking about, I've been mentioning before, millennials. And a lot of assistants out there are afraid of them because they are so young, they're too dynamic, they ask so much, and they constantly work, and they don't know what it means to have an assistant. And they are too digital for me, and what should I do? Maybe they can work with an Alexa much more efficiently. But once again, of course, there's no way to ignore them because they will be out there in the future and we just need to deal with them. And maybe if your manager at the moment is not a millennial, you will be able to have a millennial manager maybe in a half a year. You never know what's happening. So it is important to become a techie, to get to know what's going on with the technology, to get a feeling what's the blogs he's reading, what's the softwares and apps he might be interested in. And then you need to deep dive into that as well and have a feeling, okay, what could be an efficiency app for me? What could be a good software that I can work with my boss on? And think about the way you could be a digital leader in your field. Why don't you think about the ways you could actually promote being digital from your role? What kind of projects and topics have you maybe already mastered? And these are some ideas I usually hear from other assistants because they helped to make the office paperless. They were totally into filing system, making the whole structure more digital. Of course, the apps and the softwares, messenger systems, and the whole community of admins in a company. I think that's also very important to see how we can actually practice our knowledge transfer. The culture is also super important with millennials because they will give you a lot of flexibility how to actually work in this new field. And again, they are open for working with Alexa. They would be open to getting introduced to all these wonderful gadgets. So why don't you try it out with them? Hierarchies is another part because they actually know that millennials are very, very flexible. They are not too stiff, and they are not into the whole executive procedures. And it helps you to onboard. Of course, it helps you, and to build a trustful relationship with your management. Networking is also fantastic. I'm sure lots of millennial bosses, they are supportive of their assistants joining webinars like this, going out to networking events and to many other ways of training and developing, because they want you to grow and they have a different understanding of the role of the assistant, and that's why they want to invest in you and why they are open for that. So why don't you think about the wow factor once in a while? Why don't you think about, and don't think about all your routines you have been doing all those years. And maybe they have been working pretty good all those years, but why don't you think about, how can I be more innovative and creative? How can I be more adventurous and become really more a digital expert? And I'm sure there were a few ideas already in my past slides that give you some motivation to think about a few things. Don't underestimate your power, because we are so connected to our companies and to our managers. We hear everything, we see everything, and we know the game and the players. And this gives us so many opportunities to actually help and work on the future and to support our managers in terms of the digital transformation as well. So it is a wonderful compass for the future, and we just need to jump on it and see what opportunities are out there for us. And of course, never stop learning, stay hungry for knowledge, be involved in everything that goes out there, that's out there and that you need to know for your role. Lead up. It's super important to show our leadership role, inspire and empower others, and make them aware that this wonderful profession is so valuable and we need to be out there with pride. A role model is it's always very, very important that you learn from others and that you give your knowledge away as well. So all of the information you've heard today, slides you will receive, why don't you share it in your community? Why don't you tell them what you've heard? Maybe you can look through the videos again. Maybe you find some more information on the article of Elon Musk. I'm sure there's a lot of things you can discuss with your peers, and it's wonderful when you share your knowledge. Personal branding is super important when it comes to the digitalization, because once again, we need to define our brand. We need to see what we are seen in the future. And if we don't shape the brand ourselves, who else will do it for us? So the networking is important. Go out there and connect yourself virtually and in person. I mean, there are many opportunities to join wonderful platforms and meet your peers. And networking is not always easy, I'm sure. I mean, have you ever thought about that there's the word work in it? And it means work. Keeping update on social media, having everything together for your LinkedIn profile. It does mean a lot of work, but it's so worth to invest in it, because a LinkedIn profile is also your business card. So the question is, do we have a choice to not be on social media? Do we have a choice not to be visible in the future? And of course, the teamwork is much, much more important nowadays, because we need to help each other. We need to learn from each other, because that's the way how we grow together. And that's the way how we actually can make it happen and can be very successful in a team. And that's the way how we can support our managers and make actually everything happen for our profession, because they will be great supporters when they know what we are talking about. So the human factor is such an important thing when it comes to the digitalization, because that's, again, the moment where no Alexa and no Siri and no Nadine that I showed you before is available, because she is not there to really read the mind of your manager, and she's not there to make those specific moments and to make the change and the difference in our role than you can do when you focus on the human factor. And we all have our own footprint. I mean, look at it. I mean, look at all your profiles. Look at the DNA you have in your role. Everyone is different, and that's the way it is wonderful, that because then we can show our strengths. So when was the last time you actually had a coffee with your colleague rather than using the chat system of your company? When was the last time you actually did this? Once again, there's those moments where you can make a difference and when you can bring this such important human factor back into reality. You don't want to have Alexa doing all these things for you in this case, because there is where you are needed. You are the one coaching your colleagues. You are the one who's mentoring and being a mediator in specific moments, because that's why they need you. And that's the moment where you can really show your worth. And also doing a call once in a while. We keep forgetting about this. We send out text messages, we send out messenger messages, and keep forgetting about the value of a phone call. Even with business partners, even with clients, it's so important where you can make out of your role a wonderful exception by being the one you are and by showing that you want to go this extra mile and show the value of your service. Writing letters in the digitization, is that serious, Diana? Of course it is. I'm sure you have all these specific customers, you have all these important investors in your company where you know that a special treatment is important. And maybe those are the moments where you go to your boss and say, hey, maybe not being digital today. Maybe think about the way we can make that human touch to our clients. And this is again, the moment where they need you because you are such an important medium in that moment because you can bring that to the attention of your manager. One of the favorite quotes, and I'm sure you know it, because people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And once again, that's a USP for us as assistants because we do know how to make a change. And so grab this opportunity and make it happen. Be proud of your role, showcase your skills, and get prepared for the future. No matter if you are called an assistant, no matter if you're called a clerk, no matter if you're called a secretary, we are all one. We are one profession, and we need to stick together to make this more visible because then future is not able to challenge us because we are there with pride and with power, and we know what we are worth. Personality, you are unique. Once again, if you want to be the Batman, then you are the Batman. That's perfect. And to be different, of course, because then you are visible when you do things differently, because then they see how. I like how she does that event management. I like how he created this email. So this is something I would like to get to working on and think about. Because then you own your seat at the table. Then you are sitting there with a leadership team. Then you have a voice around the table, and you can talk actually and make not only the minute writers. You can actually have a value in these different meetings you are attending. This is a video I would like to invite you to show after the webinar because it's, I don't know who of you watches Suits, and I'm sure the ones who watch Suits, they all love Donna because Donna is a very hero assistant. And I always love to see this video because it gives you such a motivation kick, and she's a very tough cookie. And I think you all get some inspiration from her because she really knows how worth we are, and she knows that a legal secretary, in her case, can make a wonderful career. So why don't you become a techie and get to know the trends and technologies who are out there? Get more familiar with Alexa and Siri and include them in your work and include them in your private life maybe as well. Why don't you try it out with your friends and just to do some, maybe even some silly things with Siri? Know your brand and value and skills and bring them out and show them because it is so important to be curious and adventurous because this is when the real fun happens. So it's time to invest even more in our personal branding because digitization will bring us wonderful opportunities. And again, now it's time to specialize. Now it's time to really become an expert. And I can't wait to see what expert you will be in the next years. So I would like to wish you all the best. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy this wonderful time that is ahead of us. Sorry about those technical issues today. I hope you were able to listen properly, and I would love to hear from you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, of course. And if you have any further questions, I'm happy to take them now.
Diana, thank you so much for that excellent webinar. And I have to tell you that I received so many messages from our participants directly messaging me, and what a fantastic webinar this was, and just thanking you for your insight. So I think, we really knocked it out of the park, so to speak, on this webinar. I'd like to encourage our attendees to go ahead and submit any questions that you have for Diana through the questions feature on the toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen. I do have a few questions for you, Diana. My first would be, do you suggest that executive assistants become familiar with all of the technologies such as Siri and such as Alexa and Google, and how do you suggest they go about becoming familiar with each one of these technologies so that it can be something that they add to their resume?
Right. So I think, yes, I'm absolutely in favor of the technology. And I mean, usually when I give my trainings and webinars, I always do a live demo of Siri. So I show them how I actually work with Siri, how I dictate my emails. So I'm sure everyone has a smartphone. Everyone can play with their digital assistant and just be open for the features that are actually on your phone. Of course, it is important to read a lot about technology. Go on the websites of all those major companies that actually have these assistants. It's Google, it's Amazon, of course. So there's a lot of tutorials on these websites. There's a lot of new information you find as well, because of course Alexa for Business at that case is very strong in the US, and in Germany we are far behind. So Alexa for Business is still improving here, for example. So these are all the things you want to know. And of course, once you see what the features are, why don't you invite your boss and you can try out a few things together, like I said, with the stock exchange price, these funny little games you can actually practice with your manager and introduce it and make it aware also the HR department in your company. So if you are in a company where you have a lot of assistants and the digital transformation is a huge topic and you want to be a digital leader out of your role, why don't you challenge HR as well to say, hey, we need training. We need to have someone coming in, introducing all those assistants, all those apps and tools, because we want to be better business partners for our managers. So I think it's very good if you challenge it, and because then you can put it on your resume. But start doing the things you have been doing already now, join that webinar, keep reading, go on YouTube, check out all the videos again, and it will give you so many more insight. And it will make you very curious to really want to deep dive into it.
Great. Thank you, Diana. Another question I have is around how your suggestions around executive assistants building their brand digitally. So I know you talked about that, and we actually recently hosted a webinar where Julie Perrine spoke about this very issue, about how you can really build your brand from a digital standpoint and kind of building an online portfolio. I'd love to hear some just kind of quick tips from you on what a digital brand or a digital portfolio means to you.
Well, of course, I think the number one tool you can use is LinkedIn. And I always say be aware of using Facebook. I don't know if everyone loves to be connected with their manager on Facebook, because for me, it's also a private platform. So that's why I suggested in my webinar today to actually start writing your skill list, because all the skill lists and all the job description you actually update now, you can easily transport in your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn, the features are getting better and better, where you can not only upload your profile picture, you can have a background picture that resonates with you, that's important for you, that shows maybe one of your skills and talents. So you can, once you have everything done together, bring that business card, which is usually offline, into online mode by actually giving a lot of food into those profiles like LinkedIn, and be there constantly. And that's what I said, it's a lot of work. I mean, why don't you put a reminder in your Outlook, like once a month I should check my LinkedIn profile. Maybe there's a new skill I can put into, maybe there's something new, maybe a project I achieved. So there are a lot of great opportunities that you can actually showcase your profile, and this is your digital brand.
Diana, how secure would you say Alexa for Business is? I know a lot of executive assistants are dealing with confidential information. What is your knowledge around the security of Alexa for Business?
Well, in Germany right now we have, or specifically in Europe at the moment, we have a new data protection law coming into place, which of course it doesn't help very much using a lot of apps and technology, and because compliance is all around there. And I know that millennials, managers, younger managers, tech companies, they are maybe more open-minded for using an Alexa. I mean, we've seen the video. I don't know how many companies of you actually would use an Alexa in a meeting room, but I just want to make sure and make you aware that this can be the future. And of course, there is data security, and we all know cybersecurity is also a much more important topic nowadays, where we have to be super, super careful. And once again, this is also an opportunity for an assistant to become a digital leader by actually addressing all this security information, because you only want to bring a software or app to your boss's desk if you are familiar with it, when you say it's working for my company. So my advice would be always to talk to compliance officers, to IT officers in your company, share information you might have, share thoughts you might have, share apps you've been using for a while and you want to introduce them to your manager, but go that step first and be very transparent and communicate the things you have in mind, and if they are able to put into practice in your specific organization. I've been working in a startup scene. I mean, they were very flexible in terms of using all these kind of apps and tools, but maybe when you work for a bank or any different kinds of authority, it might be a little tricky.
Diana, do you have any experience using Yammer?
I used to use it many years ago with a company where I was actually working at Sony, and to be honest, I must say we totally failed, because it was one of those tools we wanted to use. Again, another channel. That's why I always keep saying focus on the channels you feel comfortable with. Don't ever try to follow all those trends out there, because you just lose control, and you want to be comfortable with the channels you use. And to be honest, Yammer in our case at that moment was not very good for us. So ever since then, I never used it, and this is why I cannot give too many information on that. I'm sorry.
Diana, this will be my last question for you, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. We had so many messages about how impressed everyone was with this webinar, and
wow.
We've
Thank
had
you.
some requests for maybe a follow-up webinar about maybe doing some demos on actually using the technologies and how it could actually be applied to the role in maybe certain situations and scenarios. Is this something that maybe you'd be interested in doing a follow-up in 2019?
Yeah, maybe we can think about it. Absolutely. I mean, by 2019, there will be for sure many more innovations that we can introduce in that webinar, of course. Happy to do that. Happy to talk to this through with you, Emily, how we can make this beneficial for the audience. But thank you so much for the feedback, and I'm very happy to hear that you all want to really become digital leaders in your role, because you actually want to stick to that topic and you want to learn more about it. So well done, you.
Absolutely, and I'd just like to remind everyone that Diana will be speaking at the ELS
Indeed.
Forum in Munich.
Yes.
Which will be on April 14th and 15th, and so we welcome, to continue this conversation in Munich, and actually maybe we can talk about incorporating some of those live demos, Diana, into the agenda.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. I'm very honored to be in Munich next year, together with amazing other speakers. Yeah, for sure we can really have more information on that topic. Although I will be talking about a different topic in Munich, but it's really my signature topic, talking about digitization, and I'm very passionate about it. And my motto is to taking all the fear away from all the assistants out there and help them grow in their roles and actually know how to use the technology in their roles. So yeah, I'm really happy to see the response, and that you are very keen to learn more about it.
Thanks, Diana. And for anyone who's interested in learning more about the Munich Forum, you can, or any of the other forums, really, we are across North America and across Europe as well. You can go to www.elsforum.com. I'd like to express my gratitude to Diana for sharing her expertise and for really all of the work that she's doing to progress the administrative profession. So thank you so much, Diana, for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily, and sorry about the technical issues before. I'm happy that you get my slides, so if there's any question you might have, please reach out. I will be there for you. And yeah, let's rock the digital age together.
It sounds great. And before signing off, I just have a few reminders. You can download a copy of the slides directly from the toolbar underneath the handout tab. And one reminder is that our next webinar will take place on January 8th, and we are going to discuss establishing an ultimate partnership with your executive. And Bonnie Lowe-Cramen will be interviewing CEO, Gary Rabin, of Rabin Construction, with his executive assistant, Debbie Furlano, about their business partnership and what makes it so successful. So that is one you won't want to miss. Please go to our elsforum.com website to sign up for that free webinar. I hope everyone enjoyed their time today with Diana, and thank you for joining us and for participating. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we wish you continued success. Thank you and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.